Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Donna, you can call the roll.
Commissioner Dean Hazelhorst.
Present.
Chair Butch Schleier.
Present.
Justin Roth.
Present.
We have a quorum present.
Okay, and then with our order of business, there's been just a couple of adjustments to that. We'll have Jeff talking about natural gas, and then we'll have a video at the end.
Sounds good.
Prior minutes. I believe Donna had some changes to one of them.
Yeah, I saw the changes, yep.
I did
Okay.
too.
Anything else? Okay, minutes will stand as presented. Consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through G.
We have a
I
motion.
second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Any issues from persons not on the order of business? Okay. Commissioners, did you review the monthly financial report?
Yes, sir.
Questions, concerns?
I had none.
Okay, Jeff, if you want to visit with us about natural gas.
Got a copy here. Kind of bring the people that were here the last time I was here kind of up to speed on what we do and what we do for the county, and save a little money off of the gas that we burn. Okay, can y'all, I guess you guys can all hear me. Can you guys hear me back there okay? Okay. I'm Jeff Younger, and I'm with Secure Energy Consulting, and I want to thank Darren for letting me come tonight. He called me this morning and wanted to bring kind of everybody up to speed on where we're at with our natural gas, what we have hedged, how far out we have, and kind of an overall savings of what we've done here over the past few years. So for the ones that are new, Darren, Butch, and Dustin, what I do is I sell the commodity portion of the natural gas to the county buildings that qualify, okay? About 30 years ago, they deregulated the natural gas industry, and the first little flyer that I have here kind of breaks down how that whole process works. Midwest Energy owns the lines and pipes inside the county and the town, okay? So when you look at this, and to see where you have the town border station, from that point over inside the town, that's what Midwest Energy owns. So the bills that you get, whether it's at your home or here for the county, you have a customer charge, which is your meter fee and your delivery fees. That piece is set by the Corporation Commission and Midwest Energy. The stuff over here to the left, if you have a little town border station, what the town border station is actually right out by Toulon. All it is a little white hut. From that point all the way back to the wellhead field, that's the cost of gas portion that I bring in at a lower cost than what the utility would be, okay? So any questions on this Gas 101? What they did about 30 years ago, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission deregulated this portion, the cost of gas portion on the bill, okay? It gave persons like myself, other companies, an opportunity to sell gas to the end user at a lower cost on accounts that you use quite a bit of gas on. So, and we've been doing this for quite some time. So, any questions on this?
No.
Okay, when you flip over, what I've done is a breakdown versus Midwest Energy's tariff. On a monthly basis, Midwest Energy has what they call their PGA. That's their purchase gas adjustments. And what they do is they have their price, and that's listed right on the internet, okay? And on the left side, the cost of gas portion is what I'm selling you. So let's take for an example, let's just go to the current January, okay? January of this year, Midwest Energy bills you in therms, okay? On the locations that we have the county shop, we have 105 West 12th, 1204 Fort, the Schenck Building, the one on Main Street, and the new EMS building. That total load was 8,989 therms of gas, okay? Your cost of gas portion was 29 cents from myself. Midwest Energy's tariff was 33.9 cents, okay? So when you calculate out the delivery charges, your total cost from us was $37.6705. Your cost from Midwest Energy, had these accounts been with Midwest Energy, would have been $41.4862, okay? So what I've done is I broke down since October of 16 what your savings have been, and when you calculate that up, you're looking at right at a little over $15,000 is what we've saved the county, okay? So we've been able to do a good job. Gas prices, one of the main reasons I'm here tonight, are roughly at 4-year lows, okay? We currently have our gas locked up, which we did the last time I was here in July of 2018. At that time, we went out and we hedged gas for the November through March timeframe in 1920 as well as 2021. So we currently have our gas locked up, in essence, through March of 2021. What I'm here tonight for is to kind of give you an option if you want to go out a little further. Secure Energy works directly with Shell. They give us opportunities to go out to multiple years and lock in gas. The beauty of that, the county and myself, we don't have to worry about our margin calls. We don't have to worry about paying for any of that gas until you actually use it. So even though we did this hedge, the last hedge we did back in July of 18, you're not paying for that gas until you actually use it, okay? So just to give you a ballpark, we did a $3.20 price at that time, okay? That includes your adder, that includes your cost to get it to the town border station. So whatever Midwest Energy would charge you from there on would be that. When you look at that total cost, we don't hedge 100% of it. What we do is we kind of like to do either it's a 50, 60, 70%. The other remainder of it is on the open market. So when you look at January and your price was 29 cents, even though we paid $3.20 for the hedge, we were able to buy the remainder of that gas at a lower cost, and it brought that price down, okay? So just want to give you a little example of this. When you look at how much prices have come down, January, in essence, of 2020, we burned 10,707. Everybody see that on their spreadsheet there? Your cost was 36.1. What that tells you, the 32-cent gas that we had bought, in essence, cost, we made money on that hedge. We could have hedged more and saved more. But when you look over here and you look at Midwest Energy, last year we had an extremely cold early winter, and their tariff price was almost 63 cents. Now you can see how much it dropped after that, but that's why we go out and we don't, first of all, lock it all in, but it gives us an opportunity to hedge a portion. At least we know what our budget is and things like that. So any questions on that part?
Kind of have a question on that. In regards to the buildings, I know you have them listed on there, but do you have the health department on Canterbury listed?
That account we don't have, because I know we looked at that at the time. If you don't burn enough gas at that facility, it's almost a wash, because in our distribution fees, when you deliver, when you transport your gas, you pay an extra $10 a month for your meter fee right now. So that's an extra $120. And when we looked at that, the amount of gas that was burned there was so small that it was better off if it just stayed on retail.
Would that be the same for 618 Main as well down the
Yes,
block?
that is correct. Those two buildings are much smaller. What these are your bigger accounts.
I'm guessing the Shank and Unrein are on 1 meter out there?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So when we look at what we can lock in for, I've got a couple of options here. If we just wanted to lock in November of 21 through March of 22, we'd be looking at $3.05. $3.05 would be the price. If we're looking at wanting to lock in 21, 22, as well as November of 22 through March of 23, we'd be a nickel higher, we'd be at $3.10. And you're saying, well, gas prices are so low right now, how come we're only, 10, 15 cents cheaper? When I hedge this gas, what I have to do is I have to look at the actual months that we're hedging. So if you go out on the board and you look at that price is higher than what your current months are. The current month is usually the most active traded month. You don't have a lot of activity out that far. But the beauty of this is Shell giving us that opportunity to go out that far with not having to charge you any money until you actually burn the gas. So, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? It's a commodity just like wheat, corn, and grain, and we all know what's going on with these markets today. But when I look at having opportunities, the 320 was some of the best gas price we had ever got over the last number of years. And now I'm sitting here at 305 and 310 saying to myself, there aren't a whole lot of things we can say today are cheaper than these kind of prices. So.
Commissioners, any comments or questions?
I mean, I firmly believe in locking that 305 price in and through 21 and 22, and I mean, Jeff's exactly right. You don't ever see gas this low. I mean, in our industry, the oil industry, that's a real good price. That's a real good price. And I probably wouldn't even be opposed to locking in. It'd be the first half of 2020,
What that would be, it would be November 21 through March of 22.
And then if we
That would
did,
take this out to March of 22. If we wanted to do the 310, that would include also November of 22 through March of 23.
3.
Right.
But either way, we'd be locked in on the 305 for 21, 22.
The November 21 through March, yes. By itself, you would be 305 just for that 1 year, extending it out one more year. If you wanted to extend it out all the way through November of 23, it would be a nickel higher, and that would be 310.
I mean, I think that's a pretty good, that's a good price.
It's a good price, too. Commissioner Roth?
I was just doing a little check in here. It said natural gas didn't take the hit today that oil did.
That's
it
correct.
looks like. So,
Yeah.
as you know, the oil took a bath today, and I'm sure my fellow commissioners know that as we look at our budgets every year. No, I think this is a good idea. When a commodity is that low, there's not a whole lot of room to go much lower. So I think that helps stabilize our expenditures for a while and make sure that we're competitive. I'm fine with the 310, especially since we're, dime under what was contracted last time. Like you said, Jeff, there's no way of knowing what happens tomorrow. You've watched it for a while, though. I mean, if we were to ask you if we should hold on a little bit, would you say so, or?
One of the reasons I'm here tonight is I just don't know. I've been doing this for 22 years. I've been in the deregulated gas business all my life, and when I see prices like this,
Yeah.
And we're not locking 100% of it in, guys.
Right.
We've got the best of both worlds, and last year, we made money on the hedge because prices went up. This year, we've lost a little bit on the hedge, but it's also brought our costs down quite a bit,
Okay.
so.
Well, I concur with my fellow commissioners. I would like to go out to 2023 at that 310 price. Do we need a motion to
Is
do
that what it is, March of 2023 or 2022?
2023, if we
Okay.
do both years, this will take it all the way through March of 23. And this is just the November through March timeframe. And guys, the reason we just do November through March, when you look at this usage and you look at this savings, that's when you're burning the large majority of your gas, because all those buildings are what we call a heat load customer. You're burning all the gas in the November through March timeframe.
Okay. Do we need a motion to pass this?
I don't think so. I don't think we've done it in the past. I think it was just a consensus.
Okay, we'll just consent. Go ahead then.
Consensus
Yep.
to March of
I
2023?
think in the past, somebody's made a motion and then you guys have always seconded it, but
Okay,
Okay.
we can do that too.
Do I hear a motion?
And I think what we would need to do is, what's the name of your company?
Secure Energy Consulting.
That's what I got here, okay.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we enter an agreement with Secure Energy Consulting to hedge our natural gas prices at $3.10 until March of 2023.
A little bit of a correction to that, you're gonna lock part of it in at 305,
No,
right?
no.
To push it, we have to do the
Push it, you
three.
gotta do
So to
310.
go out to 2023, we gotta do the 310?
That's correct.
For the
If
whole
you're-
rest of the contract?
Huh?
For the rest of the contract?
Just
For
if we're doing November through March, if we're doing November of March of 21 through March of 20, November of 21 through March of 22, just that 1 year is 305.
But if we do it all,
both years,
then it's gonna be 310.
it's going to be 310.
Oh.
And the reason that is, guys,
Okay.
when you go further out on the board,
Yeah.
that price is a little higher.
Okay,
Yep. Good.
then I'll second his motion. I just wanted clarity. Thank you.
Okay, we have a
Glad you asked
motion.
that, Dean.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0.
I have one question. We do a trigger confirmation. It's kind of a paper trail that we've always done in the past. And the last couple of times we did this, Philip had signed it. Do you want me to just bring it by, to have Darren sign, or Dean? It doesn't matter.
Darren should be
Butch
able
is the
to.
chair, but Darren can sign it.
Sure,
Either that or I can get it to Butch to sign it. doesn't
That's
matter.
fine.
whatever.
Yeah.
We'll work it
Once
out.
it's done, it's a done deal. It doesn't have to, it's not like it's a sensitive deal. Once you give me the okay, I'm going to go get it done, and I'll have the paperwork done. Probably, I'm going to be out of town tomorrow, probably Wednesday. I'll just drop it by. Okay?
Okay.
Sounds great.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, our next agenda item is the environmental office hours. Mason, or Bill, I guess.
He kinda looks like Mason.
Well,
much
kinda.
older, much older.
A little grayer. Good evening, Commissioners. Bill Ring, Public Works Director. Mr. Reuter is being a commissioner right now in Topeka, meeting with the legislatures, and he apologizes for not being here this evening. But I do have the other two staff members here, so if you should have any questions, I would be glad to let them address any concerns. We had just started to look at this option right prior to Commissioner Schleier bringing it up. And I did speak to him. I know that Mason has spoke to him about it. What we're looking for is to be able to provide better service to the citizens of the county that might need to come to the environmental office. We're still going to keep, full 40-hour office, but the benefit will be that we will be open 7:30 in the morning until 5:30 in the afternoon, 4 days a week. And they've had a lot of contractors that have reached out or might want to stop by early, and there's no one there. So we're looking to fill that gap. There's always somebody on call, but again, if they know that on their way to their office, they could come by and pick up a permit or drop off a water sample or, schedule an inspection, it can be done much at, convenient. And then they would just, finish the week out by closing the office at 11:30 on Friday. We've looked at, Mason took it out for the rest of the year to be sure that we would have full coverage as far as with holidays and vacations. And that's all been figured into that it should just be a smooth transition.
Well, I know from working hours such as this when we were in the health department, the staff greatly enjoyed it. We also had a lot of business in the mornings. That did not deter our service. And I think if staff is on board with this and it works good for the office, I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Do you have any questions of staff? Okay.
Commissioners, any comments?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I had a good discussion with Mason. He said it's essentially it's like crickets in the afternoon on a Friday. Nobody even thinks they're open anyway, he thinks. So the idea that he's there early and there a little later, I think he said, was even pretty beneficial. He's afraid of the amount of people he misses because of that hard 5 o'clock shutdown. So, yeah, I mean,
And there's
I think
no
this
way,
would
the
be-
building here is open.
Right, and that was one
Saturday-
question
the
I had.
doors- the doors into the clerk's area are secure.
Since he's down here, he can be open that early and
Right.
close that late.
'Cause they open up so that the people can go upstairs
Yep.
if they need to the accounting offices.
Okay, do we hear a motion for this?
I move that the Ellis County Board of Commissioners adopt the changes in normal operating hours for the Environmental Planning and Zoning Office from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., to Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., effective the week of March 23rd, 2020.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I was gonna make a comment if I may.
Oh, shit, Lisa, come on up.
If I may, Lisa Reed, County Appraiser, if I may stick my nose in where it doesn't belong, I just want the commission to be aware that you'll have one office in this building at a different hour, set hours, than the other four in the building.
Sure, and I guess one of the issues with that, though, is it is in the basement, where the offices upstairs are all still running on the same hours, and the office in the basement isn't.
But just wanted to point that out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. I also want to touch on a couple of quick items, if I might, as long as I'm up.
Sure.
The first one is, and again, we try as hard as we can to make sure that we work with every department. I just want to let you know that the county administrator called me Saturday morning. They needed some assistance. We've took a rather large hit with the wind damage at the fairgrounds, and they were disassembling other buildings. So I went out there and I met with the volunteers, and so I overrode the fees for it's all construction and demolition. So there's no extended cost for us to take it. We'll just bury it out there. But they brought in a little over 7,000 pounds of roofing tin, roof trusses, electrical pipe, whatever. So I did that Saturday, just so you know. We have another dump truck that smoked an engine this afternoon. It's a 2011 Western Star at 212,000 miles on it, and they went to do maintenance on it, and they pulled the oil pan, and it was full of metal, which is not a good deal. I don't know to the extent of it right now. I told them just to sit on it.
What kind of motor's in that one?
In that Western Star, I think that's got a Cummins in it.
Does it have a Cummins?
I think so.
That'd be a lot cheaper fix than.
Well, right, it'd be cheaper than like that Mercedes-Benz, but
Mercedes,
we haven't
that's
gone that far yet. Like I said, it just occurred, but, so I just wanted you to be aware of that. Commissioner Hazelhurst had directed a gentleman to reach out to me, and I just want to give you, we kind of solved his potential issue, but explain one thing to the two of you as new commissioners. Have you ever heard of the term fence viewer?
Fence what?
Viewer.
No.
To view a fence?
Oh, okay.
Fence viewer.
Yeah, just so you know, you both are fence viewers.
You're fence viewers.
Fence viewers.
Okay.
Okay.
In 1886, Kansas established that in townships, the Board of Commissioners are the fence viewers should there ever be a dispute about a fence between farmers or ranchers.
Okay.
And so a small thing came up about it, and I did some extensive research, and Commissioner Hazelhurst was involved in this, I think, in 14. I had done a follow-up with the same piece of property in 16, and the gentleman that lives on the other side called, and basically what the law says, that if two people own property adjacent to each other, and you're both working your property, if a new fence needs to be put up, both parties have to share equally. Or there has to be a good reason as to why one party would not be paying their share of it. And if there's a dispute over the alignment of the fence, okay, this is where the fence viewers come in. And that's all statute. So I called the gentleman up, and I believe he said that he had talked to the gentleman on the other side. They've come to some term of how to handle it, because it's a large hit. A mile and a half of fence is $17,000. So they're trying to work out how he could pay it off over 2 years, because it was somewhat of an unexpected expense to him in his farming operation. But I just, having gone through this, and we don't do this very often, that 29-201, which was written in 1868, and I'm sorry, I transposed that, been revised a few times, but that's when this was all established. So if it ever comes up again, we're somewhat versed in it. We always have Mr. Jeter that we can speak to about that, and hopefully, it, won't come up again. Then the last thing, we have another gentleman that called about possibly wanting to vacate a road in the northern part of the county. And I met with him on the phone, and I made a suggestion, and it is something that we can do and keep the road, because there's really not a large benefit to getting rid of it, is we are allowed to, just like we have minimum maintenance roads, we can have a minimum maintenance road, but we can also gate a road for restrictive access, and he's the only person back there. And what's happening is people drive back a half mile to the half-mile line where his property starts, and it's becoming a trash dumping site. And so with that, I'm going to look further and then follow up on it, but we've never done that. But basically, it's similar to the swinging gates that you would see when they close the interstate. And we would give that to key to all the adjacent landowners. If there's like a pumper that goes back there to service an oil well or something like that, but it would help, and then we wouldn't have to go through the whole process. Plus, I explained to him that on the northern part of his property, it could put him in a situation where he would landlock his property, and if he ever went to sell it, he would have an issue, which nobody really wants to have landlocked property.
Okay.
So,
Glad this landowner is dealing with this amicably.
oh yeah, he called and,
Yeah, good.
we just have to take the time to go through it. So if that's something that could be worked out, I think it would be a good solution on this particular piece of property. And then we could also, because it still is ours, and we do maintain it, somewhere between minimum maintenance and regular maintenance, because it's not highly traveled and not used a lot, but we still could go back and take care of that.
You and I sat in on Norm Bowers talking about this very issue. It happens a lot in urban areas too.
Correct.
Where it's a county road that ends up getting traveled a lot by people who don't know where they're at or what they're doing, and they don't realize they're just driving back into somebody's property. And it's not a private road, but it can be shut down, and then only the right people go down it. And yeah, giving out keys and stuff seems like a good way to solve this issue, and instead of what I would say most landowners would think to do, which is find the person dumping trash and do something to them. So sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for us?
I have none.
I will tell you one other positive thing that when I balanced the payroll today, that we just finished the 6th pay period, and I had, for the other 3 divisions, I had no overtime, and for the 2 weeks, I had roughly 20 hours for road and bridge. This same period last year, I had 600 hours of overtime. So that's a monumental savings for our budget this year, because we haven't had the winter weather like
Those
that.
were the snowstorms, a couple big
And
snowstorms.
also on the weekends, so which last year,
Yeah.
every storm we had was either, on Friday afternoon or Saturday. So that's a little good news for us. So
Good.
Okay.
thank you.
Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay. County Commission 2021 budget.
Good evening, Commission. Before you tonight, just to try to save a little bit of time off next week's meeting, put in the packet the 2021 Commission budget. As you can see, What was presented in the packet is a cut of roughly $22,000 from the budget out of the commission, which would be about a 10% decrease based on previous discussions on memberships. Like I said, just to save some time next week, I didn't know if the commission had any input onto how that's put together. There was a couple line items that were actually increased. Publications, kind of looking at previous year's trends. It's kind of been over budget. Other than that, that's about the biggest line item change, except for the reduction in dues and memberships of that $22,500. So I was asked if you had any direction on anything else you'd like to see changed or reduced, or if you had any questions as to the budget specifically, what was paid out of it.
That is a good reduction. The one thing I would like to see added somewhere, just a couple of weeks ago, as Sandy Jacobs presented to us about the Heartland Foundation, wanted a $5,000 donation. It seems like that'll be somewhat consistent. She'll be requesting that. I would like to see that put into the budget.
I'll put that in Department 97. I believe that's where all of our subsidies go to each year.
Oh,
I can just
okay.
put a line item in that for that $5,000.
Okay. That'd work for me, too. Commissioners, any comments, concerns?
It's a good start right there, Darren. Excuse me, it's a good start there.
How does that work with outside agencies? I had a little bit of discussion with Sandy about her kind of coming to us a little ahead of time to plan that potential $5,000 each year. Can we switch that to an outside agency's expense? I don't mind doing it in this way either, but
Each year in June, we schedule a certain commission meeting, and I have that scheduled. I don't remember off the top of my head what date that is, but all the agencies that request funding for the next year's budget will present their requested allocation, and then after that, the commission gives an update on where you would like to either put their funding, reduce it, increase it, et cetera.
very good. Yeah, I think the big deal with her is timing, and so
Sure.
even if it were a delay to send out that outside agency funding in the month of February, that's how she gets it doubled by the Dane G. Hansen Foundation. So
And we could just clarify that with the clerk's office when they cut the checks in December or January for the first, because we actually split those payments in two throughout the year for
Okay.
most of them. We can just make sure that one gets paid upon her request when if February stays the month that they would like to keep it in.
very good. Otherwise, I think this looks good going forward, and
I do, too. And then again, if our sales tax passes, we'll have another discussion about
different
the
discussions. Okay,
Northwest Kansas Planning and Development.
sounds good.
Sounds good, Darren. Okay, now we have a video on the sales tax.
Yes, I originally had this scheduled for next week on March 16th. As the commission is aware, I've met with the Leadership 310 class, I believe, out at Fort Hays State, and they've selected Ellis County as working with us different projects, and one of them that they chose to work with was creating a video to help market the sales tax to provide information to the voters. They're not able to be here because of both scheduling as with their work, but they would still like to come next week to present what they like to do after this. They'd like to create some more videos for the county, possibly in regards to sustainability, whether it be they might be able to create a video for the health department or recruitment video for the fire department, or showing exactly what the road and bridge crews do out. But they like to do some more videos as part of their project. But I think to save time for next week, as we all know it's going to be a longer meeting since we're talking about the budget, I thought we could just squeeze this in tonight, and then we could start sharing it on social media and such. But thanks to the IT, we've got our new television up there, so that way we don't have to switch back and forth to the audience and such. So I'll go ahead and get it playing, and it's about 9 minutes. I recognize that there are a couple slurred speeches moments in there, but I think we still get the point out there. I guess it's just me being critical on myself. So with that, I'll go ahead and get us started here.
Hello everyone, my name is Darren Myers and I'm your interim county administrator here in Ellis County. Thank you for your time today to tune into this video and educate yourself a little bit more about the the upcoming sales tax ballot. They'll be coming in your mail the week of March 23rd. So let's start off with an overview of what that ballot is going to consist of. You're going to see that there's two different sales tax questions. The first one is a healthcare tax, which will be specifically used for healthcare services here in our county. The second tax is a general purpose tax, which will help provide additional resources for us to invest in our road infrastructure, as well as provide resources to our local cities. You may be asking, does Ellis County actually pay any sales tax at this point? Currently, no, you do not. The sales tax that was used for Ellis County to remodel the law enforcement center and emergency services building expired in 2018. Currently, Ellis County receives no sales tax no matter where you're at and what you buy anywhere in Ellis County. So if Ellis County doesn't receive any sales tax, how is our government funded? Well, about 70% of our revenue comes from real estate tax, personal property tax, and oil and gas taxes. About 6% comes from a pilot payment for payment in lieu of taxes for the wind farm northwest of town. The remaining comes from miscellaneous different revenues throughout our departments in the county. Now you may be asking, if most sales taxes pass, how much revenue will we receive from this tax? Each of the 4 cent tax would generate about $1.5 million in revenue. The healthcare tax, since it's specifically designed to provide services for Ellis County for healthcare services, we'd be able to retain about 100% of those taxes as allowed by state statute. The second sales tax question for general purposes can be used by both Ellis County and local municipalities for road and bridge infrastructure. Since, and also according by state statute, it is a general purpose tax, so only 40% of that $1.5 million would be able to be retained by Ellis County. The rest would be shared with the local cities in our county. So that brings me to an interesting question as to why Ellis County is looking at them implementing a sales tax instead of raising local property taxes. Let's look at the financial uniqueness of Ellis County. We have a retail pull factor of 1.66, which is one of the highest in the states. The retail pull factor of 1.0 would estimate that 100% of all the sales tax collected in our county would come from our local residents. Our uniqueness of a 1.66 retail pull factor means that 66% of the sales tax collected in Ellis County comes from those who stop, shop, eat, fill fuel, or whatever it may be. That 66% of those taxes come from outside of Ellis County. They drive on our roads, they use our EMS services, as well as potentially can get into car accidents, which would use many different levels of services in Ellis County. If both taxes were to pass, that would create an additional $2.2 million in revenue. And since that full factor of 1.66, we can estimate that about 1.5 of that 2.2 million would be collected by those traveling through Ellis County and not paying solely by the residents here in Ellis County. The Ellis County Commission recognizes that in trying to raise property taxes, this only puts an increased burden on our Ellis County residents and in no way those who travel into the county. Also, state law limits on how much a county can raise their local property taxes each year, which is called the tax lid law. Due to this tax lid, we can only increase property taxes by about $220,000 per year, which, as you can tell, is well short of the $2.2 million from the sales tax. Anything over that $220,000 tax lid limit would have to go to the voters to approve, which would be unlikely. A $2.2 million increase in the county for property taxes would increase the mill levy for Ellis County about 5.5 mils, or about 15% on your local property taxes. On an average $170,000 house in the county, this would increase your property taxes by about $100 per home for your property tax. So you may be wondering, if both taxes pass, how much is it going to cost? This is a fair question. If you go out for lunch, it may cost you and it costs you about $10, you'd see about another 5 cents on your sales tax. If you take the family out and eat tonight in Gallows, you would see an additional 50 cents on a $100 bill. If you go to Home Depot and buy a new dishwasher, you'd see about another $2.50 in sales tax. So you may now be wondering, what has Ellis County done to help reduce expenditures? This is another good question. Here are some examples. Over the last couple of years, you can see Ellis County has reduced the budget by over 10%. We've reduced outside funding, outside agencies like High Plains Mental Health, DSNWK, the Aging Council, and many others. We've combined employee positions, save on salaries. We've not refilled 12 positions out of Public Works. But fortunately, we've had to increase employee health care costs, and we are currently looking at changing our health care providers for more attention to safety. Go back to the sales tax questions, you'll see that the first one is for the healthcare services. So what does that mean? Healthcare services in Ellis County incorporated a couple different agencies. If the sales tax question passed, the revenue would be used to restore funding back to High Plains Mental Health. We can eliminate the general fund support for the health department. Start an equipment replacement program for all of the EMS equipment, as well as partially eliminate, or about 50% eliminate, general fund support for EMS. Our EMS is proud to provide citizens of Ellis County with paramedics on every ambulance. This is the highest level of certification for pre-hospital care in the nation. EMS operates out of 3 stations with 4 different ambulances and provide 24/7 advanced life support services. This level of staffing allows us to provide a 4.5-minute response time. Paramedics operating out of advanced life support ambulance are able to recognize, treat, and begin to stabilize patients upon arrival. Time to intervention is a high determinant of survival and limitation of irreversible damage following an incident. Approval of this sales tax will allow EMS to continue using these best practices to provide the most advanced and appropriate patient care possible to the citizens and visitors of Ellis County. Let's move on and talk a little bit about public works. Did you know that Ellis County maintains almost 1,400 miles of roads? That's roughly the same amount of distance it takes you to drive from Hayes to New York City. If every road were to meet its expected lifespan of 10 years before any maintenance is done on an asphalt road, and we would replace a bridge every 75 years, we would have to spend approximately $8.3 million per year for roads and bridges alone. The current 2020 budget for public works is $4.8 million, and only about $1 million of that goes directly towards the road and bridges in the county. So you may be asking yourself now, what's going to happen if sales tax questions don't pass? Well, tough decisions are going to have to be made, and those levels of services provided to our residents will have to decrease. What are some of those options? Well, we're going to continue to look at budget cuts. Property taxes are going to have to increase. Roads are going to have to stay closed longer and maybe even maintained less often. We may have to look at employee layoffs, changing in hours, closing some of the departments, reduce levels of service within EMS, and change the level of employee benefits. The reality is tough decisions will have to be made, and there will be some unpopular decisions, but there will be a noticeable reduction in services to the Ellis County residents. So now you're informed, let's review a little. Come the week of March 23rd, you'll receive a ballot in the mail. There will be 2 quarter-cent sales tax we'll be voting on. The first question is to impose a quarter-cent sales tax for healthcare services, and the second question would be a quarter-cent sales tax for general purposes. You can vote to approve both, one or the other, or neither. If approved, the taxes would go into place October 1st, 2020, and expire or sunset on September 30th, 2030. Now that we have all that down, let's talk about how you vote. Your mail ballot will come to each registered voter in Ellis County in your mailbox the week of March 23rd. You'll receive an envelope with detailed instructions on how to fill out the ballot. You'll be provided with a postage-paid envelope to put your ballot in, and it must be signed on the rear of that envelope so the clerk's office can verify your vote. Your ballot will be inside an envelope sealed and leaving your vote confidential. It will need to be received by the clerk's office no later than April 7th at noon. Ballots received after that time of day cannot be counted. Finally, if you have any other questions, please come visit us and enter our upcoming town hall meetings, as you can see on the screen. We scheduled the following town hall meetings in March to help you interact with us, learn more about this important vote and why it's coming to a vote. As you can see, we had different town hall meetings in Hayes, Ellis, Victoria, Shinshin, and London. Finally, you can also visit ellisco.net for more information. Give me a call at 628-9410. Or you can send me an email at salestax@ellisco.net for more information. Please like and share this video so we can reach as much of our community as possible. Thanks again for tuning in to learn about this critical issue regarding our community.
So with that, I think, like I said, I stumbled a couple times on it, but I think the Fort Hays leadership team did a good job putting that together. And just like to see if there's any input from the commission.
I think you guys did a good job. Very good job.
Darren, on the sales tax breakdown slide, they didn't have Ellis City on there as a percentage.
My name is Darren Myers. I'm your interim tax.
So yeah, they did. It was like 3.1 or something, wasn't it?
It'd be right towards the beginning, I
Take the
believe.
family out and eat your property tax.
Oh, Ellis County, yeah. Victoria was 3.1.
Yeah, Ellis City is not on that one.
I had to make a mistake somewhere. I will see what we can do to get that corrected.
One question I had too, Darren, is the 1.66 pull factor, is that for the entire county, or is that the city of Hayes?
So there's different retail pull factors, and it varies depending on which one you're looking at. Ellis County has its own, the city of Hayes has its own, Ellis has its own,
Okay.
and then you can also look at different areas. One thing, you can do different studies for like the Northwest Business Corridor, that development up there. I don't think there's actually been one specifically done for that area, but
That'd
if you could
probably be
imagine,
high.
that'd be like 1.9, 1.95, just because of the location and the travelers that would be coming through there and stopping.
I've just had a few people inquire about what the 1.66, where it comes from and how it's averaged out and things like that, so.
The 1.66 actually comes from, it's the Department of Revenue and Department of Administration that work on that, and how they figure that 1.66 is they look at all the sales tax that's collected in Ellis County on a debit card, credit card, and such. When you make a purchase on each one of your cards, your card is, sometimes you have to swipe in or type in your zip code, but each credit card, no matter if you type it in or not, is registered to a zip code. So it's an accurate 1.66 is pretty accurate based on those. And then I don't know how much of a factor they put into that for people that pay cash.
Right.
But that's, it's figured in there, but I'm not exactly what the actual percentage on how they place that.
It's probably getting pretty accurate since you don't see much cash transactions anymore.
Yeah, less and less.
Any other questions?
I don't.
Nope.
Good job.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Okay, County Administrator report. Darren?
I do not have anything. I guess I can speak real quickly on the courthouse. The restroom projects is getting underway. They've ordered all the material and they started demolition on the first floor, I believe. And they're working, at least they, at this point, are still working well with the clerk staff to make sure that they're working in conjunction and not making noise when court's in session and such. The EFIS project is complete. And then the elevator, we should be receiving parts here any day, and hopefully they'll get started on that. Other than that, that's all I got.
Commissioner reports. Commissioner Hazelhorst.
Oh, Jason.
Sure.
So I apologize for not getting on the agenda.
That's okay, Jason.
I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on the COVID-19 stuff. I'm sure you guys have been monitoring it on the news and that kind of stuff, but the KDHE did, as of this weekend, confirm a presumptive positive case in Johnson County, Kansas. So we do have the first presumptive positive. Those results will be sent off to the CDC and confirmed. Not sure a time frame on that, but I wanted to make sure that you guys know that Kansas and Ellis County are prepared for cases of COVID-19. We've been working alongside the local and federal public health partners in addressing the potential spread of the virus. Ellis County Health Department wants to make sure that the residents are educated on all aspects of this, as well as yourselves. Ellis County Health Department will continue to work closely with KDHE, local health partners, schools, and first responders to monitor the situation and provide guidance and education. Ellis County's health partners are prepared to assess, identify, and mitigate any communicable disease or virus that might be identified. Ellis County Health Department and really EMS, all public health, first responders, anyone, we want to make sure that everybody, all the residents, do their due diligence in seeking out information. We've actually updated the Ellis County Health Department webpage. There is 2 links on there. One of them's the kind of universal picture that they've been using for the COVID-19. It will actually link you to the KDHE Community Toolkit. That is probably the best source of information right now for people to actually go to. That information is true, it's correct, it's factual, it's all put through the KDHE. They are a little slower than the news media, but it is true and factual. So we put a link on there. There's also a link to the CDC information on our webpage. You can also access any of that information, obviously, by Googling KDHE, KDHE, ks.gov, or ellisco.net. You can get to our webpage. And for the community, really, education is going to be the biggest thing that they can do right now, making sure that they're looking at that. That community toolkit is really neat in that it actually will provide information specifically for your group, whatever that group is. Whether you are a public health partner, whether you're just an individual, whether you run a small business, there's information specifically for your group on there And it's really helpful information. Obviously, still, we're at a low risk here in Kansas. CDC has confirmed that, KDHE has confirmed that. We're still at a low risk here. And just good general hygiene. Avoid people that are sick. Wash your hands frequently. If you yourself are sick, avoid gathering spaces, avoid being around other people. And then if you do believe that you meet the criteria for this, make sure that you call and talk to your doctor prior to just showing up. Make sure you give them a call, say, hey, I think this might be, and then work with them they will provide you information on how to come in and get tested. Ellis County does have the ability to test here in the county, and then the KDHE has been confirmed as a CDC test site. So we don't specifically test for the virus here, but we can swab, send them off to the KDHE, and they can test there. So
Jason, you said we have a presumptive case. That's not a confirmed case.
Johnson County has a presumptive case.
Right.
It has been, so KDHE tested, it was one of their first test cases from my understanding. KDHE tested, they had enough to make it a presumptive case, then they sent that information off to the CDC to actually be confirmed.
Is the criteria for a presumptive case based on symptomology and travel?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe the KDHE is still, and what I've seen, the latest stuff that I saw right before I came down here was they are still basing it on travel precautions. They're still basing it on contact with. So if you have direct contact with someone who has been diagnosed with COVID-19, if you have traveled to the five high-risk areas, and then symptoms that are associated with that.
Okay.
Any other questions for me?
No, I have none.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Hazelhorst.
I guess I led a boring life last week, so I have nothing.
Okay. Commissioner Ross.
I'm just excited for the future town halls, excited about the questions that we've received at the town halls before. I think everybody should know and understand that our main purpose in these things is information. We just want people to be able to come and ask the questions they want answered and give our best answer to them. You know, my phone's always there, my email's always there. We'll try to answer questions that anybody has on these. And another exciting thing is this week I will be headed to Pittsburgh with a group of individuals to look at a project they did in their downtown. And I'm excited to bring that back and report on that to a group of people that started somewhat of a strategic plan for this area. And I'm excited about the future of that and what that could be and how the county could utilize that. So that's it for me.
Just a reminder that our next sales tax town hall meeting will be Wednesday night at the VFW at 6 o'clock. So we'll hope to see you all there.
Commissioner Schleier, I guess I did have, I told you I had a boring week. I did go to Russell. They had the ribbon cutting for 281 project. I did go to Merity's that day and have lunch with Troy Waymaster and Jeff Stewart and Julie Lorenz and one of the guys from Spore. I did go over to that for a little while, and then their ribbon cutting was later in the day, so I didn't stay for it, but I did go to Merity's and visit with them, and they're excited about what we're doing in Ellis County, so keep up the good work.
Great. Okay. No further discussion. The Board of Commissioners will adjourn their meeting at 5:55.